YouTube, what is up? All right, let's talk about the new release from Can-Am, the 2020 Can-Am XRS. Yeah, first and foremost, we've got some new colors on it. Pretty crazy. You've got these red seats. I don't know if I love them or not, but red accents, red shock springs. We've got the tan on black, like flat black. It looks pretty sick. So I do like the new colors. Not a huge amount of like updates as far as like chassis and motor goes. You know, the Can-Am already had a 195 horsepower 3-cylinder turbo motor, and it absolutely rips. You can get it to 230 horsepower in, you know, with a couple $100. It's pretty easy. It's a beast of a motor. I wasn't expecting them to upgrade engine stuff. I mean, their engine is just, I mean, they're the top dog on the motor front right now, for sure. The Can-Am just absolutely rips. The Can-Am suspension has always been pretty good, but I will say I've had a hard time on my I guess it's a 2020 XRC. I've had a hard time getting that balance between setting it up to hit a G out and not bottom. The Can-Am likes to bottom in the back end a little bit. It's got kind of a little bit of weight over that back axle, and it does like to kind of bottom if you don't set it up correctly. So trying to set up the suspension to not bottom, but then be comfortable when I'm cruising around with my wife on the trail or something. So that has been a challenge, because I like to rip. You know, we go down to Baja, we pre-run, we're doing 100 miles an hour, we're just flying over all kinds of stuff. It's a blast, but it is, again, it's hard to get that tuning to where it's comfortable but soaking it up. So for 2021, they have their new smart-shox, kind of like Polaris dynamic suspension. Takes readings from 9 different inputs, adjusts 200 times per second, which is pretty amazing. And here's the big thing. So on the Polaris, you had a compression adjuster. So it adjusts your compression on the fly, which was cool. So it takes your steering input, your brake input, your throttle input, you know, your wheel speed, all these things, and it would adjust compression. On the Can-Am, it is now adjusting compression and rebound up to 200 times a second, which is pretty badass. And I gotta say, I own both. I have my race machine, which is my Polaris right now, and I have the XRC, which is the Can-Am, and I absolutely love them both. They're both awesome. I feel like my Can-Am's kind of my hot rod. If I go to the dunes, it just is it's a beast. Or out in the wide open desert, I mean, the Can-Am absolutely just eats up ground like crazy. It's insane. But the Polaris, if I'm on the trail, like in the woods, like honestly, it's more comfortable, and it's so nice to be able to just go from firm to medium to soft in just a touch of a button. So really cool. So I feel like this is like huge for Can-Am. Even we don't have like this, it's not like a whole new redesign this year. This is a big deal. So they've got the next generation from Fox. I mean, Fox is killing it. I mean, this company, they're just coming out with the coolest stuff with suspension. And the suspension is by far the most important thing on any vehicle. I would take suspension over horsepower or anything else. Suspension is by far the most important thing on a side-by-side. But yeah, so Fox, absolutely killing it. Now they have compression and rebound on this Can-Am. Another thing too with the XRC, as much as I love that machine, it was really hard to control the side-to-side roll and the front-to-back roll. There's just so much weight transfer when you're on and off throttle and turning. And so to have the smart-shox be able to kind of help balance out that chassis and adjust for you automatic, that is so cool. So really excited. Like that's probably the one thing that I preferred on my Polaris over the Can-Am was just the suspension. The adjustable suspension is killer. I've always loved it. Polaris did a great job with their tuning, and I can't wait to try it out on the Can-Am. So it's a pretty big deal. I think it's going to be sick. I can't wait to get my hands on one of these and go out and test it for you guys. Next thing, there's a couple other things. So they did change a clutch tube. I think that was for noise and maybe a little bit of flow to the clutch. My clutching on my 2020 has been insane. It has handled 230 horsepower like no problem. So super good job on the clutching. Like they've really figured out those clutches. It's been great. One other thing that people haven't mentioned. So with the new system, it does take a little more power, and they're really trying to push their audio roofs. So I will say they have finally updated their stator, so they have a 850 watt stator now, which is huge. So like the Turbo S had a 900 watt stator when the Can-Am only had a 450 watt. And when you start adding lights and radios and air pumpers and fresh air helmet pumpers and all these things, you need more power. So really cool that they're getting their stator up to where it needs to be. So 850 watt stator. They did come out with a new audio roof. So they had the one last year, which they're crazy. They're not Jeep, but they're badass. But they have a full audio roof for the 4-seater, which is pretty sick. So you can get a 4-seater now with the smart-shox, that badass audio roof. Pretty sweet. So yeah, really cool. So yeah, I'm glad that they upped the power of that. So this year, I think in like 2018, it was like a 450 watt. Then they went to like 600. Now it's an 850 watt stator. So that is pretty awesome. Let's see. So just a couple, like a wish list on the new Can-Am, if I may. I wish just a couple things. So I'm so bummed. The XRC does not come with smart-shox. Totally bummed out about that. I love the XRC. Like, I consider it like a race machine that has rock crawling capability too. I love the XRC, so I'm super bummed they didn't put the smart-shox on the XRC. I have no clue why. Yeah, I don't get it. So I don't understand. I don't know why they did that. So I'm really bummed they didn't do that on the XRC. XRC has a bunch of cool new colors too, which I like. The red, silver, and black. Looks sick. I'm so pumped on it, and no smart-shox. That's such a bummer. So pretty bummed about that. I wish they would have beefed up the frame a little bit. So I think the chassis on the XRS is amazing. It's a lightweight chassis, so when you have 195 horsepower and it only weighs, 1650 pounds, 1650 pounds, it's just gonna rip. But the downside to that is it's got some thin metal in places that need to be reinforced. Like your whole front gusset kit and in the back. There's just several places. So I hope in the future Can-Am, can just beef it up a little bit. It'd be awesome. So just a little wish list. Other thing is tech. One thing about the Polaris with their their ride command system, I really wish Can-Am would kind of step up and get some software. Like even just on the dynamics, they show what the shocks are doing, which is cool. And then you have like a backup camera, all these things. That tech is so cool. So I know you can add some stuff on the Can-Am, but I wish they would kind of, if on the next gen or whatever, let's get some tech. It's really cool. I think people appreciate it. So something to work on. But yeah, I don't know. Would you upgrade to a new 2021 Can-Am X3? Although it's not a whole new chassis, it does sound pretty rad. I do such a diverse amount of riding. It's ripping through the desert, it's rock crawling, it's woods. It'd be so cool to have that adjustability. So I don't know. Might be time for an upgrade. I am interested to see what Polaris and Yamaha and some of these other companies come out with. I've heard rumors, possibly something cool from Polaris, from Yamaha, from a couple of these other companies. So I think we'll see in the next 30 days. But man, I'm stoked on the XRS, and I can't wait to get out and try it. And I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it's time to upgrade. We'll see. I'm so bummed they didn't do it on the XRC. But anyways, guys, tell me what you think. Would you upgrade, or would you just stick with your 2020, at 195 horsepower with badass shocks as is? Or is it time for some smart shocks? I don't know. Okay, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks. See ya.